Don't let me down. Don't let me down, down, down.
Hey guys, I am so excited for today's video. I know I say that pretty much all the time, but seriously, today's video is going to be awesome. We are going to be talking about the age-old struggle that men and women both have, and it is called dieting. I am going to help you guys by giving you my top 6 tips for sticking to a healthy lifestyle and being able to consistently eat healthy without doing the yo-yo dieting thing, without restriction, and without binging later on because you're so hungry. I'm going to help you guys so that you can finally find your healthy balance so that you can eat healthy consistently. Let me tell you, I have struggled with this for many years, and I have done a lot of research and I have put a lot of things into action that I have noticed have definitely helped me. And I feel like actually, honestly, just this year I have finally gotten a hold of my eating habits and I am finally starting to consistently eat healthy. Like I said, that has not been me for much of my life. I've either been on one end or the other, where I restricted way too much and was hungry all the time because I didn't eat a lot and I exercised a lot, or I was binging and eating way too much food and treating my mouth like a trash can, and I just kept eating whatever I wanted. So I have finally found my healthy balance, and I'm gonna help you guys do that too. So anyways, enough of my talking. I just want to say before we get into today's video to make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you like the videos that I make, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and you found it helpful and maybe motivating, and hopefully you'll be able to put this stuff into action in your life. And yeah. Okay, so let's get into the video. Tip number 1, write in a food diary. This tip is extremely helpful for a couple of reasons. First of all, keeping a food diary is a great way to keep track of what you're eating on a day-to-day basis. It can help you find patterns. Like, for example, maybe you have a pattern of binging after dinner on lots of sweets or something. Keeping a food diary will help you become more aware of that. Or maybe certain days you're drinking more coffee than other days. So keeping a food diary is extremely helpful in seeing if you're eating enough food, a well-rounded balance of all kinds of nutrients that you need, and if you want to try and stop a bad habit that you have, it's very helpful to see what your pattern is, and then maybe you can figure out if there's a reason why you're binging after dinner every day, for example. If you're anything like me, keeping a food diary is actually kind of motivating because I don't know why, but I like to see a full day's worth of healthy food. It just makes me feel really good about myself. I just think that eating really healthy and nourishing your body with good food is the perfect expression of self-love to yourself. I just love being able to see in my food diary pages and pages of days of me just feeding myself the food that my body needs to thrive. I like to see a full day of healthy food, so keeping a food diary is super helpful with that. Also, it's really helpful because you can track how much water you're drinking to make sure that you're not dehydrated, which also leads to cravings. So tip number 2, experiment with your food and try new things. One common thing that happens when you're trying to consistently eat healthy is that people will get bored with healthy food. I'm gonna be totally honest, if you're just cooking, for example, if you're a meat eater, if you're just cooking a plain chicken breast with a side of broccoli, you're probably not going to want to eat healthy much longer than maybe a month to try and lose some weight. Or if you're vegetarian or vegan like me, if you're just not really putting much effort into your food, you will probably not only want to not eat healthy, but you're also probably not really going to want to be vegan or vegetarian much longer. So I highly recommend to you guys to constantly be searching the internet for new recipes on Pinterest. Pinterest is such an amazing resource for that. I know that Pinterest has saved me with healthy eating because I have found so many amazing recipes on there. But the other thing that you can do is try and get better at cooking and maybe make up your own recipes or modify recipes to your liking. Maybe if it has 1 or 2 vegetables that you're not particularly that crazy about, you could switch it up and add 2 vegetables that are your favorites. Experiment with seasonings, combinations of different foods. Just experiment, experiment, experiment. One super fun thing that I like to do with healthy eating is I like to find really cool restaurants that make healthy food, that have really unique recipes that are healthy. It's just another way for me to, well, have an excuse to go out to eat and eat food, but also it's just another way for me to find the enjoyment out of eating healthy. If you look at eating healthy as a punishment, of course you're not going to want to stick to it lifelong, and it's not going to become a lifestyle. Because as we all know, if you want to lose weight permanently and if you want to stick to a healthy diet, you have to make it a lifestyle. So you want to find a way to make healthy eating be a reward and a positive experience. So going out to eat, going to a nice restaurant, maybe getting some nice pictures for Instagram is a nice way to make healthy eating enjoyable, and you might get some more ideas for making recipes at home yourself from whatever you get at the restaurants. Tip number 3, follow the 80-20 rule. Guys, this is seriously a life-changing rule. I have to tell you. This rule helps make healthy eating actually realistic for the average person. But anyways, what is the 80-20 rule? Basically, 80% of your diet will consist of eating healthy. How I interpret this rule is I allow myself to have 1 treat a day. And this might sound crazy to a lot of people. That you might be thinking, how the heck do you lose weight doing that? So if you have a past of binge eating, and I definitely do, let me tell you, not eating something unhealthy once a day in a very, very small portion typically leads to me binging when I get home from work or when I'm just hanging out at home. I will just vacuum all kinds of junk food because I just want it. I have tried other things like increasing the amount of food I'm eating because I thought maybe I'm just not getting enough calories in and that's why I'm binging. But at this point, I believe it is a psychological thing where I just mentally think that I need it. So following the 80-20 rule and having 1 small treat a day gives me something to look forward to. It makes healthy eating that much easier. I have not binged for a very long time, and I definitely credit it to this rule. And if you struggle with binge eating, or if you go on a healthy diet but then you quit because you missed that junk food, then you are going to lose more weight in the long run just eating 1 small treat a day compared to binging and taking in maybe 500 calories and 50 plus grams of sugar, or going off of your healthy diet. You're obviously going to gain more weight in the long run. To me, you can just customize it to whatever works for you, but obviously you could go over the top with that rule and be too lenient. So just remember, bottom line, with the 80-20 rule, if you wanted to treat yourself to an unhealthy meal, then obviously you couldn't have a treat every day. So maybe you might have 2 unhealthy meals, and then that would be all the unhealthy food you could have that week. Or you could have a very small treat once a day. Tip number 4, make healthy versions of your favorite unhealthy foods. I love experimenting with making healthy desserts that I find on Pinterest, of course. I also love making homemade sweet potato fries and making my own homemade healthier version of pizza without the cheese. Just find a way for you to make the unhealthy foods that really have no nutrition at all healthy for you. Find a way to add the nutrition back in there so that you feel like you're treating yourself, but you're really just feeding your body nutrients that it craves and healthy calories. Make sure that you follow me on Pinterest. My name on Pinterest is Basic Trendy Vegan, and I have a board on there called Sweat where I pin mainly food, mainly recipes, so make sure that you follow me on Pinterest so that you can see all the recipes that I'm trying out and maybe you can try them yourself. Tip number 5, know the consequences. So what I mean by knowing the consequences is if you're following the 80-20 rule and you decide to treat yourself one night to a Java chip frappuccino at Starbucks, make sure that you know the consequences of that. Am I saying that you cannot enjoy that? No. It's very important that you know how many calories you're getting yourself into and that you know how much you're gonna have to exercise to burn those calories off. And you're probably going to find that by looking this up that the frappuccino is not really worth it. I will link in the description box below an example of what I'm talking about. There's this one chart that I found on Pinterest and it shows different types of food and how many calories they have and what types of exercise you would have to do to burn off all of those calories. The things that they say you have to do are pretty crazy. At the end of the day, you might decide that it's really just not worth it to gorge yourself in something like that. You definitely will gain weight if you're taking in way more calories than what you're burning. Honestly, some of the foods, especially the foods on this chart, are really just not that good for you. Frappuccino has zero nutrition, honestly. It's just sugar and coffee. Tip number 6, eat enough food. This is probably, if you take anything away from this video, this is probably the most important tip. This tip is going to help save you from cravings, from binge eating, from falling off of eating healthy. A lot of people struggle with cravings and they try to kind of willpower through it and try to just stay motivated so they can get through those cravings, and then what usually happens is they can't take it any longer and they just go ahead and binge, or they stop eating healthy. More often than not, the reason is that they are having these cravings is because they're not getting in enough calories and they're not getting all of those really important nutrients that their body needs. If you have a craving for sweets or junk food, typically it's just your brain trying to tell you that it wants more calories, it needs nutrition. It's not necessarily that it's asking you to feed it the donuts or the potato chips, but that's just what we tend to reach for. But if you have cravings, it really just means that you're not eating enough food. I can definitely attest to this because whenever I used to not eat a lot of food, my cravings were crazy. So I always make sure that I start off my day with a big breakfast with lots of whole foods, and then I will have a snack or two, and then I'll have lunch, and then another couple of snacks, and then dinner, and then maybe one other snack to finish off the night. But this is extremely important in helping with the cravings and just making healthy eating stick, because if your body is not nourished and healthy and happy, then obviously eating healthy is going to feel like a punishment and ultimately you're not going to stick to it. I recommend to anyone who doesn't want to be vegan to follow a whole foods plant-based diet. Obviously though, if you can, I think eating vegan is an amazing option. If you are interested in that, I would definitely recommend that first and foremost. But that is the second next best option that I would recommend to you guys, is to do a whole foods plant-based diet. That is everything that I have for you guys today. I do want to mention that obviously I am not a health professional or certified in any way for anything health related. All of these tips are things that I have tried in my own life and I have found to be very helpful. So I hope that you would maybe try one or two of the tips out. Do your own research too, of course, and come to your own conclusions about things. And just make sure at the end of the day that you make this a lifestyle and not some new diet, because diets just simply do not work. They only last temporarily, and once you're done with them, eventually the weight creeps back on. So I just highly want to emphasize to you guys, lifestyle. Okay, that's everything for today. Again, make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you like the videos that I make, and give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it and you found it helpful. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down.